Hey Internet, it's RJ. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into the show today. Now, today's episode, we're going to take a look and refresh our Capital One credit card catalog video for late 2022, early 2023. As Capital One, they've been, under the hood making some changes since the last time we talked about them, which is about 2 years ago. So, typical fashion, we'll take a look at Capital One as a company, talk about the reward structure, their rules for cards, and, the questions that they still leave us. Of course, taking a look at their credit cards and coming out on the other end, figuring out these cards are worth a slot in your wallet or not. So, of course, if that sounds interesting to you, then go ahead, press the subscribe button, and let's get to work. So as we always do, let's start out by learning a little bit more about Capital One as a company and a bank in the classic Did You Know slide. So Capital One, not nearly as old as some of the banks we normally talk about. Back, they go back to 1994, which I guess could be old depending on, what age range you fall in watching this. Now they're headquartered down in Virginia. They have about 755 branches. Now 30 of those are these cafe-style branches that, they've kind of refreshed to over the years. I've walked past them. They look pretty cool, I guess. Trying to make banking pretty young again, I guess. Again, since Capital One's come up in popularity, we do know some, rules about them as well. So let's talk about that, their credit card rules, then we'll get into the reward structures and earnings. So when it comes to Capital One, if you see some things you like here, these are the main rules you need to keep in mind. So, one application every 6 months for personal and business cards. You are limited to 2 personal Capital One cards, which does exclude the co-branded cards, and they do pull from all 3 credit agencies, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. That in the mortgage business is known as a tri-merge, which you don't often see for credit cards. Now, I will put an asterisk by that whole slide we just took a look at. And the reason being is, well, we found that information from reputable major publications online, like the Points Guy and, people like that. It's, from talking to folks in the comments, I know for a fact that you guys have called into Capital One and been told various things. I know I've heard people say they've gotten more cards, less cards, they could product change, couldn't product change, that whole thing. So, that's what we know, the rules for publishing, or published at least, but for whatever reason with Capital One, it seems to be your mileage may vary, and you may get a different rule depending on who you call in, who you talk to. So again, I just wanted to make that point known. It's not really a great idea to do the video. I'm like, hey, I don't know for sure, but it's easier to tell you I just don't know for sure given how Capital One's customer services treats these questions and these rules. So with that though, let's assume our rules are solid going into this. Now let's talk about the reward structure and earnings of these cards. And again, this is going to be more of the same as you'll see in a second, but their cards either earn cash back or miles. Now, the miles can be redeemed by, transferring to hotel or airline partners, booking via Capital One Travel, or apply to statement credit to a travel purchase. And you also have you could also transfer them to anyone else with a Capital One travel card. Now, again, this is another one of those things that Capital One should probably clarify, because as far as I know, you can take like cash from the cash back cards and kind of combine that with the miles cards as well. I've talked to people who have Capital One cards and say that's doable, so that's what I'm going to go with. But again, it's not something that Capital One really publishes or talks about, which again is odd. And, again, this is going to come up in our, are there any good section. So with that, though, that's what we know about Capital One, more or less. Now let's take a look at the cards themselves, because the lineup has changed. And of course, we will start with the personal side of the house, and we're going to start with the Journey Student card. So, classic student card here, it's no annual fee. Your multipliers here are going to be classic 1 back on all purchases. However, if you pay on time, they are going to give you 1.25 back on all purchases, which is, honestly, it's fine for a student card. There is a benefit here of $60 streaming credit paid out at $5 per month as well. Now we move on to some other stuff here. So we have the secured MasterCard. No annual fee here. Again, this is your classic secured card, so you could deposit $49, $99, or $200 as your minimum. It is refundable, and basically that money is going to become your credit limit. Now we're going to go on to the Platinum MasterCard, because you always have to have a Platinum card. It just seems to be the rule of the game. So with that, again, no annual fee, no multipliers. Now this one, they are advertising automatic credit limit increased reviews, which is nice, again, if you're in that building credit space. Now here's where it starts to get more interesting. We have the classic Quicksilver card. This is probably a lot of people's first credit card. So no annual fee here, multipliers, classic 1.5x cash back on all purchases. Now, I will specify that, for these cards, there's a student version available, and then they have different versions on their sites depending on where you fall in the credit journey. Are you building credit? Do you have excellent credit? But it's the same underlying card, so we're only going to talk about it once, but just know that wherever you're at, they probably have an option for you. Now we have the SavorOne Rewards card. Again, same deal here. They have student versions available in different versions depending on where you're at with your credit. Annual fee, $0, which is good. A lot of 3X here, so you get 3 back on dining, entertainment, and grocery stores. That does exclude superstores, so like your Walmarts, usually, and Target sometimes excluded from that. And then 3 back on streaming services as well, 1 back on everything else. Benefits, you do get a lot for being a no annual fee card. No foreign transaction fees, which is nice. If you go through Capital One Entertainment, you can get 8x back. If you book tickets via Vivid, you can also get 8x back there, and then 5x back at hotels, rental cars, via Capital One Travel. Now we have the big brother, the Savor Rewards, which is arguably the same exact card. This time you step up to a $95 annual fee. You can see dining, streaming services, entertainment jumps to 4x. That's the main difference. The benefits are the exact same here. So again, just figure out how much that extra point is worth to you. And those are the cash back cards. Now we're going to take a look at the travel side, and we have the Venture one first. So no annual fee, multipliers, the classic 1.25 on all purchases. Again, these are going to be miles. You do also carry over that hotel and rental car benefit at 5x from the other cards we took a look at. And we're going to go up in size to the Venture Rewards. Now we're swinging in at a $95 annual fee. For that, you're going to get 2x back on all purchases. Benefits, the classic TSA Pre-or Global Entry Credit. That same 5x in hotels and rental cars through the Capital and Travel Portal. 5x through Turo Rentals as well, which is a rental service. And then 2 free visits per year to the Capital One lounges, airport lounges as well. We have a full video. We did a review on the Capital One lounge in DFW. I can link that down below for you. But now, here's the card that really put Capital One back on the map, the Venture X. So, annual fee, $395. Multipliers, 10x hotels and rental cars booked via Capital One Travel, 5x on flights booked via Capital One Travel, and 2 back on everything else. Again, these are going to be miles. Benefits, long list here, $300 annual credit for bookings made via Capital One Travel, 10,000 bonus miles each anniversary that you can use towards travel. Global Entry, TSA PreCheck, Priority Pass, Capital One Lounges, of course, Hertz President's Circle, Primary CDW, so collision damage waiver for renting cars, cell phone insurance, and travel insurances as well. So those are the core Capital One cards for personal. Now we have a few co-branded to take a look at before we get to the business side. So we have Walmart Rewards here, no annual fee, multipliers, 5x back at Walmart.com, 2x back at Walmart stores, restaurants, and travel. So again, just keep in mind they are separating Walmart.com and Walmart in-store purchases there. We also have the Cabela's Club card. So no annual fee, multipliers, 2 back at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's purchases, 1 back on everything else. There is also the Bass Pro Shops Club card, but from what I understand, I think one of these stores bought the other one, so it's basically the same thing. So I mean, I guess just pick whichever logo you like the best. However, there is the Bass Pro Club Business card, which, it's actually, for what it is, it looks like a sharp card. But no annual fee, multipliers, 5x on Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's, 2 back at Cenex convenience stores. Haven't seen them. Let me know if you have down below. 1.5 on all their purchases. I mean, honestly, if you wanted a Cabela's or Bass Pro card, this is probably the one to get. And next up in the co-branded space, that brings us to the Key Rewards card, which is really like 4 different cards in one. So you have all the options on screen. You can choose whichever one's your favorite, but either way, the cards are the same. You're getting 5x back at Williams-Sonoma, their brands, Pottery Barn and their brands, West Elm and Mark Graham store. So it ends up being 7 brands total if you split out between the different versions of Williams-Sonoma and Pottery Barn. They also have 4x back on groceries and 4x back at restaurants, but it actually excludes fast food, which seems a little bit nitpicky to me, but I mean, hey, maybe they're on a health kick these days. Now with that, we're going to take a look at the business cards to bring us home. The business line is the Spark line. So you have the Spark Classic, no annual fee, Classic 1x on all purchases there. You have the Spark Cash Select. Again, same deal here, no annual fee, 1.5x on all purchases, or going up a little bit. You also have the Spark Cash, This time you step up to a $150 annual fee and 2x back on all purchases. It is worth noting that the annual fees are so high on this because this is kind of meant to be like a mini warehouse line in your pocket type deal. So that's kind of what you're paying for. Classic 2x back and usually a high credit limit, for those businesses, legit businesses that actually need it. Spark Miles Select, if you want to go traveling, again, follows the same format, no annual fee, 1.5x miles in all purchases. Again, you're going to carry over that 5x miles in hotel and cars booked via Capital One Travel, and no foreign transaction fees, which you'd like to see on a travel card. Spark Miles as well, again, same format, $95 annual fee. This time you're 2x miles on all purchases. TSA free global entry, the same 5x for hotel and cars. 2 free visits per year to those Capital One lounges that, of course, they're building out, and no foreign transaction fees. Now, there's one other card we're going to cover in the business line. It's cards you can't really apply for off the website, but it does exist. The Spark Travel Elite, which is basically meant to be the business version of the Venture X card. So these are the benefits that I was able to find out about it online. So again, it's just like the Venture X from my understanding. Now, to get this one, I think to apply, you'd actually have to have a real business relationship manager, and you'd have to have one of the existing Spark cards already, and then you could apply for it. So eventually, at some point, this will probably come up for real application, but didn't want to mention it. It's out there if you want to get it. If you have it, definitely let us know about it down below. And so there we have it, guys. That is Capital One's full credit card catalog as of late 2022, early 2023. Now, overall, I do like where Capital One is going. My biggest criticism of them since I've been on the air talking about this stuff is that it was too easy for Capital One's consumers to outgrow their products, right? If you go to their website, the one thing I think they do really well is they tell you, hey, this card is for fair credit or good credit or building credit or excellent credit, which I think helps save people a lot of time. And there's always a concern about getting approved, and I think that helps to some degree. Of course, they're never going to tell you the exact score because they don't want to deter people, but it helps, right? So they've always historically targeted subprime market, credit building, things like that, but eventually you'd outgrow their products. Now they have the Venture X, which is a really good card. I think it was card of the year last year in 2022 when we did, we did the credit card year-end rewards or awards or whatever the video was. Best card. I would also say the Venture X is probably the best travel card for if you just want one travel card. I think it's the best if you don't want to pay the craziness of the Platinum or have 10 Chase cards to support a trifecta. I think Venture X is your choice. You can also see the power of the Venture X powered with something that like the Saver Rewards. I don't think the Saver card with the $95 annual fee is worth it. So that right there would be a powerful setup. Then again, the criticism of Capital One I have is what we talked about in the beginning of the video, that they really have to tighten up their house. It's unfortunate that people can call in and get different answers, and when people tell me in the comments they got different answers, I believe them because it's not uncommon to happen. That's the big thing, right? I don't think people wanting the Venture X are going to want to, deal with a tri-merge credit pool, right? It seems unnecessary. I think there's a lot of customers who have started out with a Quicksilver card from years ago and the Platinum card from years ago that they have, and now you're telling me that they can't apply for the Venture X to get the new sign-up bonus because they already have 2 Capital One cards. Like, that's a problem. That's the stuff that Capital One really has to address because they've addressed a lot of their stuff on the travel front. Again, the Venture X card, I've said nothing but good things about it. They fixed a lot of their travel partners ratios, so that's viable again. They're building out the lounge network. Again, when we were at the lounge, I thought it was pretty good. Video will be down below. Granted, everything's good when it's brand new, but you get the point. They're putting in the effort. They just have to go back and build out the base so people really understand that, and people who want the card can get the card and aren't penalized for these older archaic rules that were meant when Capital One was really targeting an older demographic. So overall, though, I think Capital One is pretty good. The Venture and the Saver line, especially. Spark, not too bad. I hear good things from business owners with the Spark. So those would be the cards I would take a look at. For everything else, I would keep an eye on Capital One and hope they continue to improve and get better, because if they do, they have a real shot at challenging some of the elite players in the credit card game, being Chase and American Express, coming in and undercutting them with simplicity of it. And the 1-2 pairing of a Venture X and a Saver card. So anyways, guys, that's been it for Capital One. So of course, if you would like to drop me a thumbs up down below. If you found it particularly interesting, consider subscribing to the channel. Again, posting content just like this every week, and of course back on Sundays with all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. Again, my question for you guys, sound off down below. Let me know what you think of Capital One. What has your experience been like dealing with them, especially as you want to punch upwards and get some of their better cards like the Venture X. Love to get your thoughts on that. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this one. as always, thank you so much for watching, and talk to you very soon in the next one.